Guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, I'm going to go over an article titled Dad Sues Mom for Tricking Him into Believing 3 Sons Were His for 21 Years. And a big shout out to Frank for sending me this article. And guys, what we have here is an article about a guy who has 3 kids, 3 sons, and for 21 years he thought they were his biological children. And then one thing led to another, which you'll see in the article, and he finds that not one, not 2, but all 3 of his kids are not his, that he couldn't have had them, right? So his wife had been lying the whole time, obviously, about her, transgressions. So the guy sues her, and you're going to see that he wins something out of this because he feels he's been wronged all those years by her. And but anyhow, guys, you just never know. That's the crazy thing. You just never know in this world unless you are willing, for those of you that are parents or want to have kids one day, to have paternity tests every time, and you can imagine how that would go over. You just never really know. And it's really sad. And this happens apparently to a lot of guys. I've read enough articles that this does happen. I mean, I would just, it'd be crazy to imagine just how many people are out there walking around and, and find out that your dad isn't really your dad, or your son isn't your son, or whatever. It's crazy. But anyhow, I'm going to go through this, guys. You're going to see a little more about what I'm talking about here. So it starts off. A millionaire is looking for justice after his ex-wife's alleged web of lies made him question the paternity of his 3 grown children. Richard Mason was recently diagnosed with cystic fibrosis, but the diagnosis didn't just mean that he was facing a life-threatening illness. It also meant that there was no way he could have fathered his 3 adult sons. This distraught man sued his ex-wife for paternity fraud, but winning the case cost him more than he imagined. Richard, who is now remarried, only recently discovered that he was infertile when trying to start a family with his new wife. Richard divorced his first wife, Kate, in 2008 after having 3 sons, a now 23-year-old and a pair of 19-year-old twins, according to the Daily Mail. But his entire life came crashing down in 2016 when the UK businessman was trying to expand his family with his second wife, Emma, and having no luck. During that time, Richard went to the doctor for what he thought was chest pain due to pleurisy that he's been suffering for a year. Richard's sister died from cystic fibrosis in 1989, but when he was tested for the disease in the 80s, he was given the all clear. During the appointment, however, he received a different diagnosis that both altered his quality of life and drastically changed his family. The consultant sat us down in his office and broke it to me as Emma sat by my side. Richard explained. He said, "I'm really sorry to tell you, Richard, but you've got cystic fibrosis." I was stunned. My initial reaction was F no, because my sister had died of this and my younger sister is also very ill. But the couple was also trying to have a baby, which the doctor knew, and his next bit of news was just as devastating. He told me that 98% of male cystic fibrosis patients were infertile, and I realized he was telling me that it was highly unlikely I could have fathered any children, Richard remembered. So imagine that news. I mean, you, number one, find out you have this life-threatening disease, and then also, by the way, that because of this, it's a 98% chance you're not going to be able to have children. And then looking back at his life, that all 3 of his sons potentially are not his, which obviously he's going to find out is not true. It's crazy. Of course, Richard thought that the existence of his 3 sons was enough to prove the doctor wrong. However, a number of medical professionals also confirmed what his doctor had told him. I was told that all the patients with CF, which they dealt with at the hospital, no male had conceived a child, he said. After that, I just had that feeling ringing in my ears after you hit your head really hard. Nothing seemed to sink in. I was just thinking, shit, my life is ruined. Well, I'd be thinking that, and I'd be thinking a hell of a lot more, and I'd be banging on the door of my ex, finding out what the hell was going on. The problem became how to tell his sons and question his ex-wife, who was reluctant to admit any wrongdoing. Well, there's a big surprise. I never saw that coming in a million years. Admit I'm wrong? No way. Again, the old joke about women and accountability. It's not my fault. I don't know how I got pregnant. It just happened. Still in a daze, Richard returned his car and composed a text to his ex, Kate, telling her about the diagnosis and what that meant when it came down to paternity of their sons. And here's some of what he said. He said to her, "I was hoping that you could relieve me of this further indignity by letting me know if I am the father. I'm happy to go along with your advice as how best to tell the boys. But if you force me to go through these extra tests, then I shall be telling them as I wish. I have no intention of suing you and would like to remain in the boys' lives." So he reached out to her and tried to handle this amicably and civilly, even though he has every right to do what he eventually does. But how do you think that goes? But Kate was allegedly adamant in her reply, which came only minutes later, that there was no cause to be alarmed. "Of course the boys are yours, no matter what the science might suggest," Richard recalled after her responding. Her message was less than convincing. Richard then went to his oldest son, 21 years at the time, and revealed the shocking news. His son later confronted his mother about the scandal, which prompted her to confess to Richard 2 days later that she had an affair during the marriage. Well, there's a surprise. And yet, not too long ago, she was saying there was no possible way. The science is wrong, okay? The science is wrong and I'm right because, nothing happened. It was a miracle that you had the kids. But now the truth comes out. Again, about the accountability thing. Refusing to name the man she had been sleeping with, Kate finally admitted that she had been seeing him on and off during their 20-year marriage. That's terrible. She argued, however, that they had only slept together 6 to 12 times and that each time they had used a condom. So Richard still had to be the boy's biological dad. Oh, for God's sake. 6 to 12 times. She's not quite sure. It could be, maybe it's 7, maybe it's 11. I'm not quite sure. 6 to 12. That many times over the course of a 20-year affair? Sure. I would say probably 6 to 12 times in probably a quarter is more realistic. That sucks. This poor guy. Facing Kate's adamant denial, Richard then took the case to a paternity fraud expert, Roger Terrell, and a legal case was launched to have the divorce settlement reviewed in family court and seek damages for paternity fraud in Birmingham County Court. First, they had to discover once and for all if Richard really was the father of the kids. A medical test revealed the awful truth. Wait for it. Richard was incapable of producing sperm in any way, and DNA tests proved that his twin sons were not his. Don't fight science. Richard's oldest son refused to get tested. "As far as I'm concerned, he's my dad, and that's that," the oldest had said. That same son, however, apparently felt just as strong when it came to the ongoing legal battle between his mom and dad. Well, that's awesome that his oldest son says, hey, you're my dad no matter what. That's cool. Because some kids might all of a sudden have to go on a quest to find their real dad or something like that. But that's cool. However, you're going to see that the kid obviously not going to be very happy by the dad suing the mom. It goes on. "My eldest told me, 'Dad, if you sue Mom, I will never speak to you again.' And he hasn't," Richard said. He said one of his twin sons also refused to speak with him, but the other has sent texts. This guy has every right to go after her for paternity fraud because that's exactly what she did, okay? She lied to him all those years. These aren't his kids, okay? I mean, he knows 100% that the twin boys aren't his kids, but the oldest won't take the test. He has every right to seek damages. And by the way, you're going to see, guys, that guess what? The mom is well off financially, okay? And what he ultimately gets is a drop in the bucket compared to what she has, okay? But this guy deserves something here out of this. Following the discovery of Kate's deceit, she agreed out of court to hand back $446,000 of the more than $5 million that she had been awarded in a lump sum in their original divorce settlement in 2008. But the money has healed only some of the wounds that Richard says he feels, now that he knows he's ill and effectively has no blood family. So $446,000 out of $5 million, that's less than 10%, okay? And the kids aren't talking to him. Mom is more than fine financially, okay? Are they giving her a hard time? Or is Mom doing a good job of kind of, let's just say, I'll flat out say it, manipulating the boys, doing the woe is me thing? Come on here. He goes on, "You don't know what's real and what isn't. As if I'm living in the Matrix," he said. "Someone says to you, all that you know and that everything you said to be solid and true is not real and never did exist. You're not the father. You're not able to have kids. Your name will not continue." That sucks. The hardest part is still seeing his son's lives only on Facebook. It's heart-wrenching because we saw the graduation of our eldest on there, but I wasn't invited. And when friends post things on Facebook about their own families, like their first grandchild, or saying they're proud of their boy or something, I just think, my God, that's all been taken away from me, he said. Well, you know what? They are adults, and if they're going to act that way, that is on them. But the guy had every right to pursue action on this and find out absolutely are these his kids or not. Absolutely. And the wife, again, what she did, she got a slap in the wrist. Like 9% of the $5 million she got awarded to her in the divorce. Come on here. That's a drop in the bucket. That's nothing to her. She can make that back in interest probably very quickly. Although life has been recently difficult for Richard, a few weeks ago he received a text from one of his sons, and that gave him hope. The son said, "Dad, as I explained from the beginning, you would never not be a dad to me, regardless of all this. Of course, I'll still stay in touch. That will never change. I'm always here for you two, and will always be Dad. Love you." Well, that's good. It's about damn time, kids. After facing some backlash for going public with his family drama, Richard shared that his wounded pride was partly behind his decision. He says, "It may not be the answer you want to hear, but yes, I think I did," he told the Daily Mail. "However, neither launching the case nor going public were steps I took without a lot of thought. For a start, the boys are now adults, and if they were children, I wouldn't have." Yeah, exactly. They're adults now, okay? And by the way, as the story starts up, he did talk to the ex-wife, and she, of course, denied. And even then, when it came about, she still was, pulling a bunch of BS. He gave her the opportunity, but she wouldn't take it. He added, however, that after so many years of his wife lying, he also wanted to show his kids what telling the truth looks like. "I also want to be honest and end all the secrets and lies," he said. "They're very clever boys, and because of the way I brought them up to do the right thing, I hope they, now grown men, would understand that I needed to take that decision." So, I don't blame the guy in the least for doing this, but he had to know. But guys, the point of the whole story is that you just never know. And it's crazy. I mean, again, if there's a way to be able to look around at a big mass of people and actually find out and see how many of them are actually not the child of the parents they think they are, it'd be amazing. But I've done plenty of stories, so you just got to be careful, guys. Again, for all of you guys that do relationships and do marriage, just you pay attention to the red flags. It's unfortunate you have to do so, but these things do happen. So anyhow, guys, quick story, but I thought I'd share it because I thought it was a good one. But be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. Guys, let me know if you happen to know anybody that a situation arose that later on in life they found out that their dad was not their real dad, or a friend that found out that their son or daughter wasn't their kids. I'd like to know about it. It'd be a very interesting thing to talk about. So, and be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. And I'll catch you next time.